Hey, what's up guys? It's Jazzy here. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new traveling shop that just got added to Rust. When the traveling vendor event triggers, you'll see a shop just like the one behind me spawn somewhere on the ring road around the map. Once this moving shop spawns, it will travel about 20 grids from its initial location before despawning. The shop will spawn with a random assortment of 6 of the collection of guns, tools, components, and resources that you see behind me. We'll talk more about those later. Now let's get into the shop's defenses. The first important thing to keep in mind is that even though there are turrets on top of the shop, you can still pull out a weapon, and it won't actually shoot you until you fire your weapon. Once you do, you'll be PvP flagged, and getting hit by the turrets extends that to 5 minutes. This means you can't just walk up to somebody and kill them next to a shop. However, you are able to kill somebody from outside of the turret's range, which only extends to 40 meters. Another interesting thing to note is that even if you are inside of that 40-meter range, the turrets can be blocked by barricades. Just like Outpost, the turrets also won't kill you as long as you're in a covered vehicle. But getting out of the vehicle inside the turret range while you're PvP flagged will still lead to you being killed. Now that we've talked about its defenses, let's talk about actually using the shop. Like I said earlier, each shop will offer an assortment of guns, resources, components, and tools, all purchasable with scrap. The stocking for the traveling vendor works the same way it does in Outpost, so if you buy the stock out of a certain item, you'll have to wait for it to replenish. This allows you to keep buying the same item over and over again, but you aren't going to want to spend too long just standing around here. Now let's go and take a look at a different shop. This one also offers a Python, but for a different price. So from the base prices I listed earlier, they can all vary about 25% either direction. Because you now have a mobile source of high value items moving across the map, it creates a really interesting way to PvP. The easiest way to PvP around the shop is as a duo, where one person kills a target nearby and the other goes to loot. Another option as a solo would just be to kill the target and wait for the shop to move on before looting. You can also get aggressive with a car. The next aspect of the shop that I want to talk about is the quality of the deals. The way I'll be ranking these shop offerings is based on the scrap deal that you're getting for it, the quality of the item you're buying, and the risk associated with shop PvP. We're going to get right into it, starting with the F tier. These are the deals that I think are really low value and basically never worth it. The first item in F tier is 250 metal fragments for 25 scrap. The reason behind this one is simple. That's the exact same price of metal fragments in Outpost for infinitely more risk. Next up in F tier, we have 1,000 stone for 40 scrap. Simply put, you wouldn't pay a naked any amount of scrap for 1,000 stone, so why would you pay a shop? Paying 15 scrap for 1,000 wood falls into the same category for the same reason. Last up in F tier, we have 5 semi-bodies for 100 scrap. Basically, they come from every container in the game, so I don't want to pay 100 scrap for them. Next up we have B tier. These are deals I won't be lining up for, but I can see them being good depending on the circumstance. First up we have the chainsaw for 90 scrap. A little bit pricey for a tool that I might not need, but hey, if you need wood, go for it. Next in B tier we have the HM-LMG for 275 scrap. That's really expensive for a gun that's not fantastic, but you are able to buy a tier 3 gun flat out. The pump shotgun for 60 scrap is here for the opposite reason. It's a pretty low tier gun, but for a dirt cheap price. Last up in B tier we have 5 rifle bodies for 165 scrap. This really isn't a bad deal, I just can't see it being very useful to many groups. Starting with A tier are the deals I really wouldn't want to pass up most of the time. First on that list is the custom SMG for 140 scrap. I know it's nobody's favorite gun, but it actually is pretty good nowadays, and that price for a tier 2 gun isn't bad. After the custom, we have its more well-liked brother, the Thompson, for 150 scrap. The only thing that holds this deal back from being S tier is that that's a lot of scrap for one gun. After that, we have the Python for 90 scrap. This is a great early game weapon, and even late game you're still going to want extras to put into your turrets, so for that price, it's an almost always buy. Last in A tier, we have 5 SMG bodies for 100 scrap. Anybody who's lost a lot of tier 2 fights in a row will tell you that these are the limiter to getting back in the action, so 100 scrap is a small price to pay for that. Last but certainly not least, we have the S tier. These are the deals that I think are a must buy 100% of the time that you see them in the traveling vendor. Starting off strong, we have the Jackhammer for 80 scrap. This is half the price you'll find it for in Outpost, which makes it a must pick up because it was already great at 150 scrap from Outpost. Coming in next is the unbelievable semi-automatic rifle for 100 scrap. This is absolutely one of the best guns in the game, and it's not even that expensive here. An absolute must buy. After that, we've got 10 gears for 120 scrap. Anybody who has ever built a base bigger than a 2x2 in Rust will tell you that the limit to how strong your base can be is almost always the number of garage doors you have, and that's almost always limited by the number of gears you can find. The last deal in S tier might be a controversial pick. It's 50 high quality metal for 100 scrap. I genuinely believe high quality metal is the most valuable resource in the game. It's the difference between having AKs and being able to upgrade your base to high quality metal and prevent getting offlined overnight. Those are my opinions for the traveling shop deals, but please let me know what you think in the comments below. The last thing I want to talk about today is how the shop interacts with other elements in Rust. First up, let's take a look at how the shop interacts when a car is in its path. You can see that we've got the car lined up pretty well to block the entire road, and that initially it just starts to get pushed a little bit, but eventually the shop will move it from its path entirely. Next, we can see that basically there's the exact same interaction with the minicopter. What if a player stops in front of the shop? Well, in this case, it actually continues to just push them along the road. You might also wonder if any explosives can do something to the shop. The answer is no. Rockets, C4, or any other type of explosive in Rust will not affect the shop, and it will simply continue to move along its intended path. Thanks so much for watching the video today, guys. I really hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to subscribe to see more content like this in the future.